Hello students, and welcome to the next lesson in our AS level Human Geography course. Today we're going to be looking at ageing populations, and specifically the ageing population of the UK. Now, what is an ageing population? An ageing population is one where the average demographic age is going to increase over time, and as a result the average age is proportionally high. The UK is a prime example of what is a country with an ageing population, and the main place where the ageing population is taking place in is Devon. So why is the population ageing? Due to better standards of living and better healthcare, people are generally living longer. So as a result, there's going to be more people that have a higher life expectancy, and there's going to be older people living in the country. Also, people are deciding not to have children, so as a result there's not as much youth in the population, and proportionally there's going to be a lot more older people than there are younger people. So as a result, the death rate is decreasing and the birth rate does as well, so we have now an ageing population. But why does the population age? Here we have a theoretical population pyramid for the UK, and particularly Devon. So as we can see, there's a general bulge around the 30s or 20s area where a lot of people are being born and a lot of people are currently working. We can generally see that there's not very many children, more kind of adults, and then it slopes off towards the front part where there are much less people as they begin to die out. Now, this is what the population used to be like. However, now what we're going to show is an exaggerated version of this population pyramid for an ageing population. This is what an ageing population should look like. Now we can see that there's a lot more older people living in the population because people are generally living longer. Also, there's less children that are being born, so the average amount of children are decreasing in the millions, and generally the adults kind of stay the same but slightly decrease as people tend to then grow and become much older. So by this we can also see that population life expectancy is also increasing. So why would you move to Devon? The jobs don't pay very well there, so there aren't very many workers. As a result, this leaves up a lot of space for the elderly to be able to go there and enjoy a place which isn't, rattled by industry and is a lot calmer. There's more space, and the site is deemed a nice place to retire for all the people that are living there, and as a result it's better catered for the elderly to be able to go and live there. So a lot of people are congregating inside Devon, which is making it an ageing population. Also, because a lot of people are going there, there's not going to be many jobs for the people of Devon, since it's all going to be filled with people catering for the elderly, so people generally want to then move out. So because generally people are tending to then move out and search for jobs elsewhere, even more elderly come in. Now I'm going to have a look at the impacts of this ageing population. The impact on health is that a lot more money and taxes is going to have to be spent on healthcare, because statistically the elderly are going to be needing more treatment in order to be able to treat them of any illness or disease that they have. Also, sort of therapies or operations such as hip replacements must be in place. I know that's kind of stereotypical to say, but just based solely on statistics, the elderly use more healthcare than the adults or even children do, so as a result more money is going to be spent on it. Also on the GDP, it's going to decrease because the dependency ratio is going to go up and the workforce is then decreased. As a result, more elderly are going to have to live off their pensions and perhaps other state funds, and as a result more of the working class are going to have to support those that aren't working and are already retired. Also, there's a lot of pressure on housing. Because more retirement homes are being bought for the elderly, there's a lot more demand on housing and a lot more pressure for people to be able to find housing in places such as Devon. Also, demand for regular housing is decreasing in those areas, which is producing some other socio-economic impacts. There's also an impact on transport. The government has to spend more money to be able to produce catered transport for the elderly. For example, buses that can take them around in the town, because a lot of the time the elderly can't use public transport such as the tube or regular trains or buses. A lot of the time because it's not catered to their specific needs. For example, elderly that need wheelchair ramps in order to go up and access the bus don't have that on many regular buses. And there's also an impact on services. with more disposable income that the elderly have because they're not working, more money is going to be spent on these services. As a result, it's going to prompt economic activity, and generally the country will fare much better. So how do we manage the negative impacts of an aging population? You can deal with it in a number of ways. Firstly, you can encourage migration so that the workforce will then increase, and as a result the dependency ratio will drop. You could also encourage more births and increase the retirement age so more people are working to be able to support the elderly. You can also force greater labour participation and force a lot more people to work even if they're unemployed. As a result, the impacts that the elderly are going to have economically on the country are going to decrease. Here you have some questions. Have a go at answering all of these by pausing the video and writing them down on another sheet of paper. Be sure to hide your notes so that you can't cheat at all. Then hit play whenever you're ready to see the answers. Here are the answers. If you did get all of these right, congratulations. I'd advise you to move on to the next video, which is going to be about transmigration. If you didn't, be sure to go over your notes once more or visit www.revisealevel.co.uk where you can find the notes to this lesson there. Also check the description where you can have a link to the website and read all about aging and youthful populations as well. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.